I was born in a house that doesn't exist anymore, on a street that was renamed twice, in a town that grew so fast it forgot what it used to be. The doctor told my mother I was small but stubborn. She said I cried like I had somewhere important to be. I'm 102 years old now, and most mornings I wake up surprised I'm still here. Still breathing, still carrying the weight of all the years that stack themselves quietly inside my chest. People think living this long must feel like winning something, like you reach the end and someone hands you a medal or at least an explanation. The truth is, it feels more like standing in an empty house after everyone else has gone home. You recognize the furniture, you remember the voices, but the rooms are quiet, and the quiet teaches you things no one can teach you while life is still loud. I've watched the world reinvent itself more times than I can count. I've seen horses replaced by engines, letters replaced by screens, front porches replaced by locked doors. I've seen wars that took boys who still smelled like soap, and peace that didn't last long enough to teach anyone how to hold it gently. I've shaken hands with men who later became names in textbooks, and I've buried friends who were better than any famous person ever was. For a long time, I thought the point of living was to build something that would outlast me. A business, a reputation, a name that people would say with respect after I was gone. I chased that idea like it was a train I was afraid to miss. I worked until my hands stiffened and my back started to argue with me every morning. I told myself I was being responsible. I told myself I was providing. I told myself there would be time later. Later is a dangerous word. It sounds harmless, it sounds patient, but it has a way of stealing whole decades when you're not looking. I had a woman once who loved me in a quiet, steady way. Not the kind you see in movies, no grand speeches, no dramatic exits. She folded my shirts the same way every time. She warmed my coffee mug before pouring it. She waited up for me when I worked late, even when I told her not to. I thought love was supposed to be louder than that. I thought it was supposed to shake the walls. So I treated her gentleness like background noise. I told myself she understood. I told myself she knew I was busy building our future. I told myself I would slow down when things settled. Things never settle. They only change shape. By the time I noticed how quiet the house had become, she was already tired of waiting. Not angry, just tired. That kind of tired that doesn't slam doors or shout. It just packs a suitcase carefully and leaves a note on the table. I don't remember the exact words anymore, but I remember how small her handwriting looked on that big empty table. I was in my 40s then. I thought I was still early in the story. I didn't understand yet how fast chapters close. I kept working. That part I was good at. Work doesn't ask you to feel much. It rewards you for ignoring your own heart. Years passed, my hair thinned, my hands grew spotted, my reflection slowly became someone older than the man I carried inside my head. People came and went. Some died, some drifted, some became strangers, even though I knew their favorite songs and the names of their dogs once. That happens more than anyone warns you about. One day you're sharing birthdays and inside jokes, and the next you're just a name in someone's phone they don't call anymore. I married again. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't deep. We were two careful people trying not to be lonely at the same time. She passed before her hair turned fully gray. Cancer. Quick and cruel. The kind of ending that doesn't give you time to practice your last words. After that, the house felt too large for one voice. So I downsized. Then downsized again. Now I live in 2 small rooms where everything I own fits without trying too hard. People ask me what the secret is to living this long. I usually joke about bad habits and good luck, but the honest answer is less impressive. I just kept waking up. What took me most of my life to understand is something simple enough to sound foolish when you say it out loud. Almost everything I worried about was temporary. Almost everything I ignored was permanent. I worried about money like it could love me back. I worried about being respected by people who forgot my name as soon as I left the room. I worried about winning arguments that no one remembers now. I worried about being right. I ignored the way my father's voice shook the last time I saw him. I ignored the way my mother's hands lingered on mine like she was trying to memorize the shape. I ignored the small cracks in my marriage because they didn't interrupt my schedule. I ignored the way time was quietly, politely walking past me every single day. You don't feel old while it's happening. That's another trick. You feel busy, you feel justified. You feel like life is something you'll catch up to once you finish the important parts. Then one morning, you're brushing your teeth and you see your grandfather in the mirror. At 102, memories don't come in order anymore. They arrive like weather. A smell will bring back a kitchen from 70 years ago. A song will put me in a car I barely remember owning. A certain kind of silence will drop me into a hospital hallway where I stood pretending to be strong. I've outlived nearly everyone who knew me when my knees were young. There's a strange freedom in that, but also a responsibility. When you're the last witness, the story lives or dies with you. If I could sit across from my younger self, I wouldn't give him a list of rules. I wouldn't tell him how to invest or what career to choose. I wouldn't even tell him who to marry. I would tell him that love is quieter than he thinks and that quiet doesn't mean weak. I would tell him that the days that feel boring are often the ones he'll miss the most. I would tell him that no one lies on their deathbed wishing they had answered more emails. I would tell him that loneliness doesn't always come from being alone. Sometimes it comes from standing next to someone while pretending you don't need them. It took me more than 70 years to truly understand that success is not what survives you. It's what sits beside you while you're still here. I've held awards that ended up in boxes. I've owned things that were sold for pennies after they stopped being useful. I've watched buildings with my name on a plaque get renovated until the plaque disappeared. But I still remember the weight of my first child sleeping on my chest. I remember the sound my mother made when she laughed too hard. I remember the exact shade of blue in the eyes of the woman I was too busy to keep. Those things didn't fade. Everything else did. Now my days are slow. Pain sets the schedule more than ambition does. I drink my coffee lukewarm because I forget it sometimes. I sit by the window and watch people hurry past with faces full of urgency. They look like I once did, convinced they are late for something that matters more than this moment. I want to stop them. I want to tell them that the clock is quieter than they think but sharper than any knife. That it doesn't chase you, it waits. And waiting is worse because you don't feel it happening. But I don't stop them. People rarely listen to old men. We sound like background noise too, so I talk to you instead. If you're young, you won't believe me yet. That's normal. I wouldn't have believed me either. If you're somewhere in the middle, tired and busy, and telling yourself you'll fix things soon, I hope something in my voice makes you pause. And if you're older, already carrying a few quiet regrets, I hope you're gentle with yourself. We did what we could with what we understood at the time. I don't have many years left. That part is finally clear. But I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of how many people die with their words still locked inside them. So I say mine out loud now, even if my voice shakes. Love the people who show up quietly. Call the ones whose names make your chest ache. Sit longer at the table. Let arguments go unfinished. Let pride lose. Because one day you will be very old, in a room that feels too quiet, holding memories that weigh more than your body ever did. And you will realize, the way I did, that life was never asking you to be impressive. It was only asking you to be present.